I'd like to welcome Hector Valderos to the show. He's a New Mexico State Auditor. Within the next half an hour, we're going to have a conversation about a little bit about your office, and then we're starting to ask questions whether you're running for Attorney General. I think you have made it official, right?
I have.
And so it's not in the exploratory phases anymore. You actually have made up your mind there.
We made a decision and we declared, but it is early in the process and still focused on being state auditor every day.
Okay, so you got a year and a half left there before your term is up. You accomplished a lot as far as being a state auditor. Take us back a little bit in time. When you ran for state auditor, what was the key thing there? I know you said there was underfunded. There was some reasons why you felt compelled to run for state auditor.
Sure, and let me first thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's a great opportunity anytime I can come before New Mexicans and really kind of retell the story of really what has been a great opportunity for me to be state auditor. 7 years ago, I take you back to the opportunity that was put before me, and at that time there was a scandal in the state auditor's office. I thought that I could restore accountability and trust in that office, and I decided to put my name forward 8 weeks to go in the general election. And really what I saw though was a crisis in confidence. And I was only a young prosecutor at the time. I'd only served 2 years in the legislature. I wasn't from a political family and definitely wasn't a household name. But really what I thought would be important for New Mexicans is to have a fresh start and really start to believe in someone who understood about how important it was to bring integrity into an office. And 7 years ago, we got our start. And ever since then, we've done a good job at really protecting the taxpayer.
When you look at the state auditor's office, it's not very large as far as like when you look at Attorney General's office, there are like almost 80 or 90 attorneys there. And then when you walked into this, it was already underfunded from what I understand. Did you have issues as far as funding for the state auditor's office at that point when you came in?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the problems early on was no one knew what the state auditor really did. We'd never had any very strong state auditors that would fight fraud and corruption the way we have. But what I found was that we only had a staff of 29 employees. And we have 1,000 agencies in government, over $1 billion to protect every day in just assets. And if you take a $5 billion annual budget, a $60 billion financial statement of the state of New Mexico, we are just severely underfunded. And so for years I've been chipping away at the legislature, trying to educate governors and the legislature and citizens that we every day are at severe risk because we just do not have enough auditors in the field. 25 auditors is really one
for
of the
1,000
government agencies. It's a crisis in accountability.
So what were they doing when you got in there? Was it like chaotic at that point? Was it a very difficult state for you to walk into? Because you're walking into an office, I think.
Right. So initially it was just a small office, and they were focused on what's called financial audits. So basically like bank statement audits. What I decided to do was a major policy shift, like a sea change shift for the taxpayers. What I decided to do is I told my auditors, if we're going to be small, if we're going to be underfunded, the best we can do though is attack the risk and make sure we go after very important cases. So even though we're going to be small, we're going to pack the biggest punch in government, the biggest punch in corruption. And we went after the largest public school embezzlement in the history of New Mexico, the Jemez Mountain School embezzlement case, $3.4 million embezzled. We went after the NMFA fraudulent audit where you took a very complicated financial institution and they were submitting fraudulent audits. We went after Sunland Park where we orchestrated the first takeover of a government in the history of New Mexico. So even though we're a small office and the legislature has not funded us and the governor at the rates that the taxpayer deserves, we've decided to really go into some fist fights where I think we've made a good impact to try to change the culture and ultimately educate the citizen.
When you walked in, there was no special investigations division, right? You created that division.
Right, we created it, started to train them as criminal investigators, and we also brought in attorneys to help me battle, because one of the things we found was that just because the auditors, as we want to go into the government, we had resistance. And we needed lawyers to help issue subpoenas, help work with law enforcement agencies. So we really beefed up the type of employees as well that we would bring in.
And for prosecution, you have, the state auditor has to go through Attorney General, correct? Or they work with DAs?
Exactly. So we're still just an accounting firm,
Okay.
but we do have to work with local district attorneys or the Attorney General's office. But what we found was we still needed lawyers, accountants, and investigators to help build those audit files so that when we refer a case to the AG or to a DA, that they're ready to go for prosecution.
I know it was underfunded, but do you feel that at some point, maybe down the road, in the out years, that the state auditor might have a prosecution division where they prosecute themselves? Because do you feel that it's not necessary to have that prosecution?
You know, we toyed with the idea that a white collar unit would be beneficial to the citizens. That is something that would be on my wish list of, you know, the many things to end corruption in New Mexico. One of them would be that a lot of those agencies should have each their special prosecutors in their own office. But, you know, the culture has been slow to change, the political culture in New Mexico. So now I'm getting the political culture or political class to focus more on just expanded resources and increased funding for those offices.
Some say that it might be too, it might become too powerful if you were to give an independent agency, because you're an independent. The state auditor is independent from, even though it's part of the administration, still independent. So it might become too powerful if you gave it prosecutorial abilities there. Or they're against it because they feel like, well, they don't need to have that power. It's better if the DA handles it or Attorney General handles it. Maybe there's a way to look at it. I think if the legislator ever decided to pass some more funding, I think they might be able to have a division. But special investigations, I think, was something that you brought to the state auditors. I think that, and I think they will have to continue that. Am I right? Or it's not something that they have to?
I think it's here to stay. I think using the fraud hotline.
So it became a permanent division.
Yes, we created it, and I think the next state auditor will probably find it a very useful tool, and they'll probably keep it in their administration.
So did you increase the level of employees, or are you pretty much the same?
You know, we did get a little bit of increase from the legislature and the governor, and then we shifted over those resources to auditors and investigators.
Okay, so it's actually increased a little bit, but it's still underfunded, you think?
Oh, severely underfunded. Yeah, where it needs to be. Really, that office should be, it should have proportionally enough auditors to what the state spends. And right now the state spends way too much money and is not getting enough audits and investigations for the amount of money that they spend.
And it's a lot of work investigating all these. The time that's consumed in there is, I think it's a lot of work. Most people don't realize what the state auditors really, does, and as far as the powers it has there to investigate and all that. I think if New Mexicans are educated, they'll probably learn a little bit more, and that's why the shows like this kind of bring out all the aspects of it and stuff. When I brought the Attorney General, we talked about everything that he did, and I didn't realize how vast it was. He had about the largest New Mexico law firm there, and they had about 90 lawyers, and I think you're applying for that office pretty soon there. So, we'll talk a little bit about that. Let me take a little break.
Sure.
We'll come back and we'll get into the AG's office, and then we'll carry it from there. Okay?
Thank you.
We'll take a short break. We'll be back with Hector Balderas.